Jo. Hey, you're the first. I think everything is working. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Brian. Yeah, sure. I can see you. I can see your message. Let's see. You don't see. Well, there is no chat history so far. All right. Cool. How many people do we have? Do I see that somewhere? No. Yeah, I mean X is. Yeah, there's a slight delay. Yeah. All right. Welcome. Let's see. Should we get started? I don't know. It's. Oh, you don't see the first message? Interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the thing with Restream, I'm using Restream to stream from my OBS locally to Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And the thing is that the chats are not synchronized. So you can see, oh, actually, yeah, you can see the chat on the right side here of the window, right? Yeah, you see there, but you don't see it on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, if you, because Kazun, he sent something on YouTube and that doesn't get synchronized to Twitter. That's why. But you can see that's why I put this on the right side, this one below me. All right. Let's get started. I don't want to keep you waiting too long. So what you see here is a combined chat of all the different platforms. That's why also there's the little logo. But on each platform, you can't see what people, posted on other platforms. That's the downside. That's why I put the thing down there so that you can just see it. All right. Cool. What's funny, Twitter says there are 45 people watching, but I don't believe that. There's like 1 on YouTube, 1 on Twitch, 0 on LinkedIn. I don't believe Twitter. Plus 55. If there are really 55 people on the stream, just like every single one of them should say hi, and then I believe it. Because until now I only see Brian. And Francis is also going live at the same time. I got this whole idea from Francis, to be honest. If you don't follow Aaron Francis, you should. This guy. He's a great educator. Makes a lot of stuff about databases. Yeah, Ryan, you're everybody. Well, there's one person on Twitch. All right, that's great. So we're 4 now, with me included. Yeah. All right, let's get started. Maybe more people join. Cool. So yeah, I started live streaming again. I thought, you know, let's get started with this thing again, because I had an idea, a project idea in my mind that I found really exciting, but I couldn't really, you know, spend that much time on something that would not become public, like, you know, wouldn't create content, so to say, for me. So I thought, what can I do? And then I actually saw Aaron like doing live streaming and all, here, Aaron Francis. And I thought, that's a great idea. You know, I can build my project, and while building the project, I can share with you how I'm doing it. And yeah, all of this is recorded as well. It's gonna be on YouTube probably later. So if you wanna watch this later on YouTube, then you can do that too. Alrighty, but so the idea of this project is basically that we will connect to the BlueSky firehose API. This one over here. So BlueSky is like Twitter but better, and in a better world we will all be there. No, that's that's bluesky.com. All right, bluesky.app. BlueSky? I'm writing it wrong. Yeah, BSKA. They can't even afford the proper .com. But yeah, BlueSky is basically a Twitter but better, with more, you know, trust and safety, content moderation, all that stuff. Recently hit 10 million users, so there's a lot going on here. All of Brazil moved here after Twitter was banned in Brazil. So the thing is, they offer this firehose API, and that is also something that Twitter used to offer, or maybe still offers, but probably now paid. And basically they send you a random sample of all the tweets, posts, whatever you want to call them, skeets, actually they call them here in BlueSky, of all the skeets that are happening on the platform. And, you know, you can just listen to it, and then you get bombarded with skeets or posts. And my idea here is that I would listen to that. I would listen to the to the skeets, and then I would do some sentiment analysis on them. And I always wanted to, first of all, use Broadway to, you know, just have the processor running there to basically aggregate all these posts maybe into multiple ones. So maybe we don't want to handle one by one. We want to handle them in batches. And so I wanted to use Broadway for the data pipeline. And then I wanted to use Bumblebee and NX with just a basic sentiment analysis model to analyze the sentiment from negative, like -1, to neutral, 0, to positive, +1. So that, you know, you send in a text and it gives you back, well, I think this is a positive or negative sentiment. And the idea here is that we would just take all of that data, aggregate it over time, and then just store it in TimescaleDB. You know, TimescaleDB is a extension for Postgres, which is really good for handling time-based data. So usually, you know, Postgres is not that great for adding like time-based data, and then especially doing analysis on it, because everything's a row. There are other databases out there that are more specialized on time series data. I think Cassandra, if I'm not mistaken. So they're more like the heavy hitters on that regard. But Timescale works on Postgres, so it's still row-based, not column-based, and it works pretty well. Like it's really cool, and you can just enable it as an extension. So, you know, that's pretty useful as well. So the idea here would be that we aggregate the sentiment over time by like every minute or every 5 minutes, and then we store it in Timescale so that we have per minute, you know, like a -1 to +1 value, and then over time we can show the different sentiment in the platform. That's the idea. Are you excited? The 104 viewers on Twitter. 100 people on Twitter right now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, hey, Stefan. All right, well, if you're all excited, then let's get started. So the first thing, obviously, if you get started, is to create a new GitHub repository. So how should we call this? We can call this BlueSky, firehose, sentiment. I can't write a BlueSky because Twitter is gonna deboost any tweet about BlueSky, so I have to write it like that. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's make this public. BlueSky, firehose, sentiment, sounds good. License, just MIT, do whatever you want with it. Boom, creating. Now, let's get this party started. And I also want to do another thing. So I want to add Phoenix Live View, because eventually I would like to show like a website, you know, where you can maybe click through the data, or you can just analyze it, download it, whatever. So first up is gonna be the project creation. First of all, let's clone. And let's go in the BlueSky. And let's do mix Phoenix new. And then this is, I think, the location, and we're just gonna call it app. And the rest I'm just gonna keep simple. What is in your background? You mean behind me? Yeah. How often will I stream? I stream pretty often, but a streaming, I don't know, daily? That's what people recommend. Multiple times a week. I mean, this is also a big project, right? I probably won't do it all today. I mean, that would be amazing, but I don't believe that. Stream, I don't know, 2-3 times a week. That's the idea, until we get the project done. I mean, so my current idea is also a little bit like, I want to, you know, I like a background story. But first, let me answer Brian's question. What I have behind me is, this is my parents' dog, Fina. It's a very cute dog. And then I just have Philips Hue lights from Philips, and I can control them here through my Stream Deck. So I can turn off like the lights in the background, my front light actually. I can do all of that through my Stream Deck here, and turn it all off, except for this little mountain here, because that is a straight connection. Yeah, so that is Philips Hue all in the background. Just a couple of like these standing, like 20 centimeters, 25 centimeter RGB lights. I can also control them. All right. Yeah, I should do a whole studio walkthrough, because I also got a new softbox from Newer. It's like with this grid thing, it's really cool. I got a new camera. I got a new audio interface, so the voice you're hearing right now is hopefully better than all of my videos before. It's a Behringer UV1. And I really like it because it has like a gain, so it's a preamp from a microphone, but then I can also add some filters like the gain, some equalizer, like a noise gate, and a de-esser. And this is a really cool piece of tech. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, well, let's see. I also haven't used Broadway before. I haven't used NX before. I mean, except for doing some stuff with Livebook, just playing around. But I want to also see here how do we add it to a production application? How do we add NX to a production application? Also, how much does it cost, right? Like, is it gonna be hundreds of dollars? Is it gonna be like $5? I don't know. You know, let's find that out. And then I never used TimescaleDB, so that's gonna be another one. All right. So I got distracted. But yeah, about the streams, a couple times a week. I was saying that beginning of this year, I started a startup, so to say, with indiecourses.com. And my idea was that I would create a video course platform for technical content creators. And that is going pretty well still. Like, I added a lot of cool features that only I have, nobody else has. But then I realized it's really hard to sell that thing. You know, it's like, to find video course creators in itself is already tough, because they are so few and far between. So you have to go into every community, and then, you know, you find like the 5 people out of 500 that have a video course. Then you need to convert them, you know, to get them into your platform instead of Podia or Gumroad or Udemy. So you need to convert them, and then you might only make money when they make money, right? Unless they subscribe to one of my subscriptions, but, you know, not everybody does that. So the whole acquisition pipeline, so to say, it was just too demanding for a single person like me, like a bootstrap founder, right? So that's why I kind of decided to put this on hold. This project is still running. I have all my video courses there, but I'm going to focus on other things. And I decided to focus, well, first of all, I have a couple of new projects coming up with a very good friend of mine very soon, and I'm going to announce that also very soon. But aside from that, I also wanted to be a bit more professional, so to say, with my approach to building my brand, you know, reaching out to you, like reaching out more frequently to the community, adding more content to the community. And I wanted to do that in 2 ways. Like I always have been writing already a lot of blog posts, and also my latest project, actually, runelixir.com, which I'm actually extremely proud of. It's a 30-minute introduction guide to Elixir. So if you want to learn Elixir and you're an experienced developer and you just want to learn the basics, you know, how do I do, I don't know, a list concatenation or string interpolation, you just go here. You can go through the basic course in like 30 minutes, you know what I'm saying, but it's probably more like an hour, but still. And that will get you up and started with Elixir very quickly. So this is something that I decided on building. It is like my written output, so to say. So I want to contribute with my written word to the community, also / to my brand. You know, I always try to keep these things both in mind. But that is my written output. And I also wanted to do like a spoken word output, you know, and I thought about doing YouTube videos, but, you know, then you have to like cut them and edit them and have a concept that you can fit into 10 to 15 minutes. So I decided to just do live streaming again, because that way I can also build these projects that I'm excited about. You know, I can share with you my thinking process, like my approach to building projects, just finding out, you know, debugging stuff, like finding out how to do stuff. And it's a bit more social than also the YouTube videos where you send everything, like you record up front and then you post, and then you might get comments back, but it's not interactive, right? So I really enjoyed this live streaming thing. So live streaming and run Elixir / my blog / my newsletter, actually, are gonna be my focus in the next half year or so. So yeah, long story short, I'm gonna live stream a bit more in the future. All right, cool. Anyway, enough about all of me and why and whatnot. I would say let's just get started, right? Let's get started with a cool new project, a good feeling. Just hit Phoenix New. Yes, add it here, add the dependencies, boom. I must say this is always the most exciting part of any project, because you're just like, you know, so much opportunity, so much potential still. And then you start writing code and you're like, so much maintenance. So much testing, so much debugging. Anyway, what's happening here? Deps compile. All right. See now, let's go in here. Boom. Firehose. Nice. Let's fetch this. Let's see that everything works. Should be working, right? No, that's my... There you go. We got a new Phoenix project. Alrighty, so let me first commit this. Initial commit. And send it. Oh, wait. Yeah. Initial commit. Let's do this again. And push. What is the editor I'm using? It is Zed. Z-E-D. Z-E-D. I've been using this for like, I don't know, 3-4 months now. Before that I used Visual Studio Code. But I don't know, Z is so much faster than Visual Studio Code. However, it doesn't have the same extensions, and the I don't know, the language server protocols, the LSPs, they don't work as well, unfortunately, in Z than in Visual Studio Code. But I like it. It's all right. All of them, you know, have their pros and cons. Coolio. So this is now online. So let's first do the first step. Like I would like to go on this. Like I have a little plan, right? I thought about this. So the first plan here, the first step is to just connect to this web server, WebSocket, and just get information. You know, just connect to it and start receiving posts, and then see how we can process them. So let's do that first. And I already did a little bit of digging. So because what we need is a WebSocket client library in Elixir. And I already looked at some of them. So I'm not sure whether Mint... So Mint has a WebSocket implementation. I've seen that. And the other one... Let me just search for WebSocket. What's this? WebSocket. Yeah, the other one was actually WebSocket EX. And this would look really cool, but it doesn't seem to be maintained anymore, unfortunately. So this one, you know, looks really much like a gen server. It probably is a gen server. And you can just receive messages. Boom. You know, that would be so nice. However, I have a little hesitation when it comes to issues where people asking like, is it still maintained? And then you haven't heard anything back since like more than 9 months, 8 months, a year. So let's maybe not do that. Let's just do something else. And the other thing that I looked at is the Mint WebSocket, this one. Yeah, and this one still seems to be maintained. Yeah, well, 3 months ago, still no issues, no pull requests. And it is much more verbose, but hopefully it's gonna be okay, especially because it has some examples here. Ah, look at that, a gen server example, boom, that's exactly what we want. Cool. Let's just copy paste this one. Oh, they have a button now. Copy raw file. Alrighty, let's go in here. I'm just gonna call this WebSocket and post this in there. If it works for Elixir 1.0, then you should be okay using it. Yeah, you're right, Brian. I don't know. It's just, I mean, for this project, it wouldn't matter probably, right? With WebSocket X. Ah, you know what? Let's just use that. Yeah. Custo. Let's use that. You're right, Brian. Let's go back to WebSocket X, because that was like 3 lines of code and we would be off. Look at this, beautiful. And yeah, so we need to install the dependency. And that is WebSocket, this one. One of the things I always check, because the dependencies, the version number in here usually doesn't match the actual version number. But in this case it does, so that's good. Okay, let's get the dependencies now. Well, we need to start this when we start our application. So I'm just gonna do that here after we start our endpoints, start the WebSocket. And we also need to give it the URL, I guess. Oh, the URL is here. Okay, well, we can just hard code that here to this one. Firehose. Okay. All right, URL is unused. Yeah, if we start it in the application, it's just gonna receive the arguments here and coninfo module ops. All right, should be fine. Let's see what happens if we start it. Oh boy, we're already receiving messages. That was quick. But they're all binary encoded. Oops. So we need to decode them. All right. Well, that was quick. Thank you. So, next step. How do we decode this thing? Yeah, most of this stuff is in Go. I think also BlueSky heavily uses Go. So how about we try to find a different client library in a different language, clients. Get started, for example. Maybe we look at the JavaScript. You would ask ChatGPT, oh, you mean, yeah, but the problem here is that this is a library they're using, I think. It's the AT Proto library, I guess. And then did you have like a sync, subscribe, repos, commit thing? Ah, repo stream callbacks. So I think that is doing the translation. So in our case, we do need to translate from binary somehow to something that we can understand. Yeah, but it's a good point. I mean, actually, I do use not ChatGPT, but I use Claude Sonnet, and that works pretty well. But in this situation, I wouldn't trust it. I mean, okay, let's give it a try. You know, maybe it's doing magic for us. Let's say convert this binary that we receive from the BlueSky firehose API to a JSON map. What's decoding? Is it really so simple? Just decoding? No. We get a decode error, yeah. Nope. That would be nice though. I think there needs to be something more. So what is this, a BlueSky CLI client? Does it have the firehose in here? Probably not. Okay, this is a CBOR event data. More details on this can be found here. To do, link to lexicon page. Well, thank you. Let's go for CBOR. Pass mentions, pass URLs. Okay. Oh, maybe there's Elixir CBOR. Maybe there's a library to convert it. Ah, look at that. Ah, very nice. A library that modernizes the code base and makes the decisions. Okay. And then we can just decode it. Ah, look at that. That is why we are standing on the shoulders of giants. Even has a lot of downloads. That's very nice. Okay. All right, let's do this. Boom. And latest version is 1.01. So let's add that one. Now we can decode the the post CBOR and decode message. And let's just see how this looks like. Application exited shutdown. Whoops. That wasn't that great. Let's just put this back to type. No, I don't think this is working. Ah, because it's a tuple, maybe? Well, let's wrap this in a case. And then an otherwise error. Let's see what it says. Okay, op1 tcommit and then there's another binary. Wait, so that is, where can we see how this looks like? Oh yeah, and Dart, they also have a library. I saw that one. BlueSky Dart package. Boom. All right, example. No, we want to see the, where do I see the code? Firehose. So what we're connecting to is the com8IET proto sync subscribe repos. And sync. And then the subscribe repos, this one. Okay. And that's the implementation from JSON. So that is subscribed repo from JSON. That doesn't help us. I want to find the official docs for this, because they should be. So I get like okay, and then the op. Responses. Man, just where can we find what we're receiving here? Just an OP and a commit. I wanna see how that, like, the whole thing should look like, because they should say, hey, you get a OP, a commit, and then you get like a binary that is probably the post, but then we also need to decode that one. So we go for get repo, status sync, status commit, create parameters. Okay, schema. No, doesn't really. They also don't have the HTTP reference. Are you guys still there? Anybody still listening? I mean, there are 200 people on X, which I don't believe. That's okay. BlueSky. Oh, you're still there? All right. I'm not alone. Yeah. I don't know. Let's just try to deconstruct this. So we get a map over here. I'm just gonna call this details. And then we get a post. And maybe we can just first of all move this to a width. And then also, so this is a post in binary. And maybe we can get the post if we do another cball decode. And then let's see. Ah, look at that. We get some more information here. I'm going to stop this one. Okay, path. What is this one? Oh, it's a like. Somebody created a like. That's a repost. That is a like, a follow. Ah, so we get information about all these kind of things too. Actually, I don't want that. Can I filter that? Do we? Because I only want to look at the post, right? So how do we find a post in here? Ah, here, feed post, there you go. So now we get a create and then path feed post. We get a CID. We get a repo, a reference, a sequence, and too big. Why don't they send the message? Value? Jesus Christ. Hey, room. Yeah. Yeah, that was better with the Twitter API because in there they would actually send you the message. Okay, let's do a little testing here. Because maybe one of these, the block. Actually, again, I would like to find what is this? What is this block blob? Let's see. Where can we find? Because I'm in the HTTP reference thing. I would expect that they have it somewhere. Blocks. Get blocks. List blocks. Request. Get blocks. Parameter, CID, and then the response is a schema any. Great. Once again, let's find, read the docs, API reference. That's what I want. And now, I mean, we can here just look for this. Creating a post, tutorials. Posting via the BlueSky API. And then we get a CID setting the language. Post timestamps, firehose. Nah. So they use something that's called a lexicon type. Oh, look at that. That's what we want, no? If you look for post, yeah, that's a post. All right. Record containing BlueSky record object properties text. All right. So how do we get this? Ops commit blocks. Man. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable the WebSocket for a second because I want to check out the information we're receiving here, and I'm gonna start a interactive shell. And now let me just copy paste at least this value. Okay, and try to do the CBOR decode on this. Ah, great, we get nothing back. Okay, so this apparently is not CBOR. What about this thing? Damn it. All right, CBOR decode B. Again, not CBOR encoded. Man, why don't they just send a text? I don't know. Just use UTF-8. Why do you have to make things difficult? Blobs. Like. Post. This. Well, I mean, if it's bytes, is it maybe just not? So wait. Damn it. I mean, if it's just bytes, maybe we just need to convert it to string. Can I do this from bytes to string? No. Ah man, now my it's almost embarrassing that I need to look up how to convert a byte to a string. Binary to string. Join? No. Raw? No, to string is not one. Any ideas on this? Unicode characters to list. Oh, that might be interesting. Okay, let's try this one. With B. But it's probably UTF-8, not 16. No. First argument, not valid character data. Not a valid encoding. Let's do 16 instead. No, error. Ah, man. We still have 216 people on Twitter looking at me. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Charlist. Is that a charlist to string? No, if we I don't think it's a valid string. Otherwise we could do list to string. No. Nope, nope, nope. Nope. Okay. We need to look further. All right, so let's have a think about this again. So what we're receiving here, the data we're receiving, where's the post again? Like, follow. Let's find a post. There. All right, so we receive a post here. I mean, do we need to fetch it from them? No, I don't believe that, right? And then we get the ops, which is probably the operations, and there's an action, which is create, and then it has a CID, which is that, well, whatever ID, what is the CID? Unique ID? Well, it's a distributed, globally distributed ID, I guess. So the commit and the blocks. Why is their API so hard to read? This is the Dart package. This is the Node.js client. No, this is not it. This is not it. Get feed. Maybe let's reread this again. Maybe I'm missing. Each PDS serves as a stream of all the activity on the repos it's responsible for. Okay. Okay. I make a WebSocket connection. All right. I can read off each message and it decodes the CBOR event data. More details on this can be found here. Well, there's no link. Okay. Ops. Yeah, okay, but in this situation they also only do what we do. So they just print out the action and the path, but that is information we get when we decode it with CBOR. So we get the just action and the path. But what I want is the actual post. So do I need to fetch that? BlueSky firehose client. Querying, filtering. Okay, this is a Golang firehose. And you can only show posts by users with a minimum follower account, show likes as well as posts. Okay, that looks good. Firehose, hose. So what happens here? That is just the CLI command. Boom, 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 boom. Here, this is where they subscribe. Stream started. All right, now this is where the events come in. Returns a read repo. Read repo from car. Blocks. Okay, so he's reading bytes from blocks. And that is the RR. That's great if people use just abbreviations as variable names. That's very useful. And he is printing out all the ops. And then he matches against the type of, for example, the create action. Oh, and then he actually gets the record. Interesting. So you do need to fetch the record. Is that true? That would make this really inefficient. Why don't you just send the record? I mean, okay, the data, when you send all the data, the actual payload you're sending is much higher. But on the other side, people don't need to then come back and fetch it from your API. So, all right. Banana, marshal JSON. Okay. He unmarshals the post. Get record. What is the get record? So this probably is then the post. Interesting. So that is the ID of the post, I guess, because he uses the path to fetch the record, and then he gets the record here, and he tries some stuff. He gets the record RC. Yeah, I guess he just gets the record. Okay, well, if we need to do that. But he also does something with blocks. Print post. Okay, this is where he actually, with the profile, the user profile. Yeah, he really does get all this information. So it's just an HTTP call you need to make out, but that makes it extremely slow. Well, that's something we can do in our Broadway in the pipeline eventually, right? Because we don't want to do that in our receiving gen server, like, wait for the gen server to handle the message, and which means to fetch the data. We don't want to do that. So we can probably throw this at Broadway, and within Broadway we would have a processing step where we actually get the data, right? So what I want to do first here is actually to get it to work, and just to see the post, and then we can move that logic into a Broadway pipeline. But all right, let's just see how we can get a post. Tutorials, docs, here, reference. We want to do feed, search posts, get posts. URIs. Oh, that's also very nice. We can actually, later on, we can aggregate all these IDs into a single HTTP call. Yeah, that would be cool, because then we don't need to fetch them one by one, right? That would make it really inefficient. Alrighty, let's try this one. There's no Elixir example here yet. That needs to happen, needs to change too. Okay, cool. But this is the get, and then we have the URI. So those are the list of. There's no example. Oh, empty payload. Let's just try some stuff until we get lucky. So let's call this BlueSky. And actually we're also going to use rec. Maybe it's already in here. No, it's not yet. So rec is the HTTP library here. And what I really can't write BlueSky. 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 There you go. Okay. So what we want is get post for posts for the UIDs. And this is gonna be the post URL, and then we're just gonna make a rec get, I guess. This is a get request to the URL, and data. The data is the URL, the payload. Okay, so we make a posts, and then we can do options. With request struct. Yeah. Data. Let's find this one. You know, people say, oh, you know, AI is going to improve the world, but actually what would improve the world and make coding much easier is if we would have proper inline documentation, and also documentation in general. Like, how can I know now how to quickly well, I don't know. After a couple of years, you just roll with the flow. I mean, you also see I don't waste that much. I don't spend that much time on reading all that stuff. Like, maybe that's my mistake as well. Maybe I should be reading this text more clearly and in detail, but it takes a lot of time. So what I'm looking for is just like one line of code that you can just copy paste, because usually you can learn a lot from like these, you know, code snippets. Like the whole thing we're doing here is like 4 lines of code, right? So if somebody would have added that somewhere in a discussion somewhere, I could just have copy pasted it, or at least understood what they're doing, and then implement it myself. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying out all the different angles, you know, see what works, what doesn't, and then until I get lucky. It's kind of like guessing work, but it's like directed guessing. Informed guessing, yeah. See, what I want to know is the options. Yeah, that doesn't help me at all. Do they have a data in here? Get into data. Body, okay. The request, okay, but so the method, and then the body request body can be IO data or enumerable. So I guess, yeah, I'm gonna call this body. Let's see whether this works. And we need to find, I already have it running here, so I can just recompile it. So we also need to find the post ID again here, and I don't know, this seems to be a CID. Maybe this here, this could be an ID. Let's try this one. So we're gonna do BlueSky. Let's just restart this one. Also, let's get rid of these details. And okay, that makes it a bit easier to read this stuff. So let's do app BlueSky. Let's try to find a post. Get post, and then we put this in here. Let's see whether that works. 400 invalid request. Parameters must have the property Uris. Okay, so it doesn't. Oh man, this is also great, right? This is okay. Create parameters. That was my mistake. It should, like, I thought it was a body, but you can't really send a body. I was confused with this anyway, because if you make a get request, you can't send a body. You need to make a post request to send a body. So, yeah, in this case, we can just. I'm just gonna edit here. UIDs. So the URL is the post's URL, and then I'm gonna add and then it's a URL. URIs. Let's also rename this one to URIs. Recompile. Must be valid AT_URI. Okay, so what is that? AT_URI. AT_URI. Query parameters of the subject. All right. Why don't they show it to me somewhere? A post record. Great. How does a AT_URI look like? Stuff like that. It's just basic stuff. Just put it somewhere as an example. You can actually give an example parameter, schema, responses. Like in these docs. This is, what do you call these docs again? OpenAI, not OpenAI. OpenAPI. So confusing. OpenAPI, you can put an example here. Yeah, like default value 50. Like just give me an example and then I know, oh, you know, it's that value. That would make it so much easier, but no. I have to read a guide. Okay, so this is what it is. AT and then DID, PLC, whatever that means, and then that thing. Oh, and the path in the end. All right. So what is that? Again, let's try to find AT_URI. Where is that defined? Is it defined at all? Introduction. Sync. Rec has params option, I think. Ah, that would be amazing. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, let's look at the new requests, headers, URL, params. Boom, you're right. That is so much better. Yeah, this made me itch. You're right. This made me itch as well. So params, and then probably we can make it URIs. Okay. Let's try this one again. Recompile. Encode query. Is that maybe a map instead? I would expect it to be a map. No. It's a list. Can we encode it somehow? If set appends parameters to the request query string via put parameter step. Yeah, I'm just gonna JSON that thing. Params. JSON encode URIs. Is that working? And numeral and okay, yeah, that needs to be a encode. Bang. All right, let's try this. No, this doesn't work. How do you rec params list? Well, I always need to do Elixir. Does it say something about list? No. It would be nice if rec would just be smart enough to convert this for me. Defaults to empty. Is he on Twitch? I'm also on Twitch. Yeah. But YouTube is better. Yeah, that's what I did earlier, right? That's what I did earlier. The Stefan, but I wanted to use the params thing in rec. But that doesn't work. So here, the params option. But that doesn't work with the list. So. Maybe we can do to HTTP JSON. I don't know. Great. Anyway, that is not important right now. Let's go back to the hard-coded, not so great version. But Uris, and this is a list. All right. Well, must be valid AT UI. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, that is a pity. Rec, that I think that could be improved. If you have a list of parameters, just convert them for me. I want to find out how that works. Okay, but going back to the Go code here, because I think he or that library here also builds the AT URI to for retrieving the record, the post. Banana. Get record. Jesus. Read repo from car. Is that what we need? So what is an AT UI? Do they have somewhere an explanation of what it is? Yes, they do. Thank you. All right, so AT the authority, the path, and then some queries and maybe a fragment. So what does that mean? A DID. Okay, so this seems to be the path, app, BlueSky, feed, post, and then the post, and whatever this is the authority. Man, do we really care what the authority is? The authority part of the URI can either be a handle or a DID, indicating the identity associated with a repository. Yeah. Note that a handle can refer to different DIDs and thus different repositories over time. See discussion below about the strong references. So, okay, the authority part of the URI can either be a handle or a DID. Yeah, so what is that? Man. Let's go back to our... Man. I should have done this earlier. We found it in the repo. That's what we need. Then we have the AT, DID, PLC, whatever this thing is. Well, that's the authority we learned. Then we have the path. So that's all we need. We need the path and we need the repo. So if I do this now, let's go over here. Now let's try to find this. So it's AT, this thing, and then this thing. Ah, look at that! We received the post! Ah, it wasn't that hard at all, was it? Yeah, awesome. Okay, posts, and then we have the first post here. And what is the record embed images? URI. So, this is the full URI. Interesting. Good. Wow. Yeah, right? But what is the text? Is it the... Well, this is the author, all right. Then we have the CAD embed, and they embedded a image. And this is actually the full-sized image here. So that's, what is this? I hope it's not something adult. Oh, well, okay, that's good enough. And then we have a like count, a quote, a record. Okay. That is the image that is embedded. Text, here's the text, all right. And they even have the language. That's cool. In BlueSky, you actually have to tag the language of your post. So we can also ignore all non-English posts because our model will only handle English. Okay, so that is the record text. Cool. Alrighty, so with that in mind, I think we are able to we are able to handle this stuff. So what I just want to do here is I want to print out the URI. So I want to receive the Google translated. All right. From Japanese. Let's see. Actually, DeepL. Do you know DeepL? That is a German company. It is so much better. Look. The sensory deprivation one, modified blacked out version with safety considerations. Thank you for blacking out the safety considerations. Yeah. All right, cool. We are getting one step further at a time. So what we need here is the repo and the path, and we can do that in ops, and we can just we can pattern match against it. So that is, but there's another okay. Jesus. Because I print out the post here. So there's another post. All right, let's try this one. Let's enable this thing again and see. And also I want to then, well, we don't handle any sending. So I'm going to handle post. And in here, I'm going to match against the ops action create and then retrieve the path and the repo. So that would be ops. And then it's actually a list action create. And from here, I also want to have the path. So that's the path. Oh, wait, handle, wait, do I handle post? Let me just finish this, writing this first. So we get the path and we need the repo. And this repo we get from here. Could you feed your model arbitrary text? I have spoken word videos I want to analyze. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Like what I wanted to use is Bert, sentiment, and it's on Kaggle. Actually, there is a live book Bert sentiment tutorial that I saw. It's from Bumblebee. Here in the examples of Bumblebee. And down here they have sentiment, there, text classification. And they use the Bert tweet based sentiment analysis. And actually if you go to Hugging Face, you will see that there are many more sentiment analysis here. Organizations? No. I guess? No, just sentiment. If you search for that, you will see models. But where did I find this? Oh, I did here and then sent here. Sentence similarity. Text classification. And then I look for downloads. Yeah, and then you see here, for example, the HE Bert sentiment analysis. That one is very popular. And the Bert tweet based sentiment analysis, that one is what Livebook uses. But they only use 40,000 tweets to train the model. I think this one had a couple of millions. There was something else. But yeah, you also always got to see whether you can actually run it in Elixir. Not all of them are ported to thing. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to use this one as a smaller model, it seems. But it works, you know. And I think this only works on English tweets. Yeah, so that's why we need to. But yeah, if you have a arbitrary text, you can run it through this thing. And the problem here is always if you add a lot of text, you know, like the whole corpus, then it might take too long, or it might be too inaccurate. So you could also use random sentences throughout the video and then aggregate their sentiment. But you got to experiment around with that. But ideally, you wouldn't send the whole text through it, because also that's not super necessary, right? Because in the beginning of the video, you might be super excited, and then in the middle, you might have like a, you know, like a little low, and then at the end, you get excited again. So actually, it changes over time. Alrighty. But yeah, this is what I wanted to use eventually. So you just use Bumble and then load model, and then you have the model, well, the serving, and then you run the text through it. So yeah. Okay. But going back, yeah, like yeah, actually, so what they do with Whisper. So Whisper is that model where you can transcribe text. That's where they use 30 seconds. So they actually chunk. If you want to transcribe a video, for example, with the Cloudflare workers, they have a really good blog post about this. Not Whisper, but Whisper. Wait, where's the blog post? Where's the blog post? Jesus. Just blog. Here. Introducing stream generated captions. Yeah, exactly this one. And yeah, you can just transcribe your videos. Yeah, here, that's what they showed. So you could just transcribe your whole video using Cloudflare workers. And what they explain in the blog post here is that they actually split your video into 30-second audio files, because they found there's a sweet spot for Whisper. Because if you add like an hour of text to Whisper, it's not going to be accurate anymore, because after a while it has too many tokens to handle, I guess, I don't know. And it just becomes inaccurate the longer, like over the whole video, right? If the video is too long, it is inaccurate over the whole video. So what they do is they chunk it into 30 seconds, and then they do the transcription on those, and you can also parallelize it, so that way it also becomes faster to transcribe it. Okay, sorry, go do your dance class. Thanks. See you around. Okay, let's do this. Let's finish this thing here, because I want to get the satisfaction. Okay, so we do have the path, the action. Yeah, this one needs to be a string. Okay, so now if we just return this, and also I only want to do this for a post. Yeah, so I can pattern match against this one actually in the path. And this is the ID, so to say. Yeah, and then all the other ones we're gonna ignore. Just an okay. Okay, let's start this thing. No. Oh, I guess we're matching against the else here. Right, so probably here. No, could be here. No, but this would only decode this thing. Ah, no, it returns okay, any, and then the binary. Why does it return? Interesting. All right, this is the details, and this is the post binary. No, we're still matching against somewhere. Ah, same here. Details. Okay. Well, I mean, now we are probably receiving messages, but not about the post. And it could also be that we are ignoring correct posts. So probably my matching isn't working properly here. So I'm just gonna Also, let me use the logger here. I'm just gonna do a debug, ignoring. Alrighty, and if we actually match, then I'm gonna do an info. Ignoring, well. So the binary here, this is the rest, and this is actually the post. Exit, why? Is it a Phoenix? Yes, it's a Phoenix application. Yeah, you can just edit in the application. So here down there, I added it to my list of children, and it is a, well, this probably uses a gensor under the hood. So use, where do we have a use? Interesting. Frame. Oh yeah, okay, well, it exposes a child spec, and with that child spec you can actually yeah, start the child as part of your application children supervision tree. Let's see. Okay, so now we're receiving the post, but for whatever reason the matching is not working properly. And also, I'm gonna inspect this. Probably that was the, yeah, okay, well, woo. All right, let's see. We want to have a post somewhere. Yeah, so we don't match against this, and that means our matching is incorrect. And why do we not match against this? Let's copy this here. Okay, we can just delete everything we don't want, like the commit. And now we have the ops. And oh, look, we also get the ref here. So we can just use that instead. But I can also use what we match here. But you see, these are the same? No, they're not the same. Ah, good thing. They all start with 3L4, so that was confusing. Anyway, but our match is not working. Why is that? Because I named it opts and not ops. It's always a typo. Okay, now you see we actually get some things back. So now we can ignore the ones we don't want. Whoop. All right. So now, yeah, we receive a lot of post messages, or these are the AT URIs. That is good. And now with those, we can simply go and fetch them one by one. But you see how many of those are. So it's a good thing we can actually batch the URIs, because otherwise we would make, you know, how many are those? Like 60 requests a second or so, maybe. And also one thing you gotta keep in mind when you log these kind of things, and you're like, oh my god, this is super fast. The logger is actually the slow part here. So if I would not log every line, it's probably faster. Like it processes more posts than we see here, because the logger is just so damn slow with writing it to the screen. So whenever you have a background job running, you know, you want to do like a migration, and that might take, I don't know, an hour. Don't print out every single line, because this will actually make it so much slower. You know, you can just, like, I don't know, have a counter that you print out every couple of seconds, or just don't do it at all, you know, or only print out every 10th or so, and then say, well, 10 more, 10 more, 10 more. But yeah, that's one thing that I learned early on, where if you want to print out every single line, you actually make the whole system slower. Yeah. All right. Well, with that in mind, we can actually get started with the Broadway pipeline. Because what I would like to do next is to aggregate all these into batches of, you know, how many we can actually fetch here. So the get posts URI. Where was it? Get posts there. 25. We can do a total of 25, and that would be interesting. So let's do that. So now, Elixir Broadway, how do we set this up? Even from Dashbit, nice. Yeah, this is actually going to be interesting. I wonder that too. How can we do back pressure on the firehose API? Because yeah, you see how many events we're getting in here, and we can't process all of those fast enough. So the cool thing about Broadway is that it actually gives us a back pressure mechanism. So, you know, we only process, like, the consumers give, like, whenever the consumers fetch a new thing from the processors, you know, that's when they generate a new item. But this, so the consumers can actually like define or, you know, set the speed, so to say. But in our case, we just have this thing. So I think what we should do is kind of also connect our processor, like our Broadway processor, we connect to this thing. And whenever the processor requests a new post, then we just send the latest post that we received, and the rest we just ignore. So actually this firehose API, you know, receives all these events, but it doesn't process all of them. It probably ignores most of them. And then whenever our Broadway process asks for the latest post, then we send one over. But I wouldn't know how to do this. Yeah, maybe like within state, we could just set, you know, this to the latest state, so to say, and then we just return that one. We'll figure that out later. Let's first set up Broadway and see how it works. Okay, so we have an example here. We begin by defining a module that uses Broadway, and then processes. Yeah, to be honest, if you use GenStage, most probably you want to use Broadway instead. I mean, GenStage is also great, but it's a very low level, as understood. Yeah, but again, I think Broadway is also more for real, like if you have heavy data processing. So let's see. Actually, shall I make this bigger for you? Can you see? Can you read this? Maybe that's better. Also this. It's easier to read now, right? Okay. All right. So, all right. So in this situation, we have a Broadway, and that has a single producer, and it has a processor, and then it implements a couple of callbacks, and we can start it as part of our pipeline here. And in this configuration, we define one producer and two processors. So yeah, concurrency 2, concurrency 1. And we need to implement the handle message callback, which will be invoked by the processors for each message. And we can do batching. That's actually what we want to do. Yeah. Font size is good. All right, thank you. Let me see. Again, Twitter says 280 people viewing. Oh my god. But there are 5 on YouTube. I believe that more. 2 on Twitch. So we are almost a dozen. Let's see. What's on Twitter? Yeah, I'm right here. Look. Getting close to Aaron with his 44,000 followers. Yeah. Actually, Should we hijack Aaron's stream? Nah, I'm not. You can't be not nice to Aaron. Aaron is such a nice person. Actually, he just left. Okay. Anyway. Do you know Aaron? Do you know about Aaron Francis? If you don't know about Aaron Francis, you should know about him. All right. Anyway, I don't want to keep you waiting too long. Okay, so let's just copy paste this one. So what we can do here is we have a single producer, And actually, our producer could be our firehose API. And then I'm not sure what the producer needs to implement. Yeah, his content is really awesome. If you want to get into screencasting, like, well, live streaming, right? I'm doing live streaming, but if you want to go into screencasting, Aaron, for instance, has this wonderful URL, screencasting.com, where, you know, this is a really good video course about learning how to do screencasts. So video courses, but also what I'm doing here, like live streaming, for example. He really goes into a lot of detail there. And I think after this one, you will be very comfortable with talking to a camera in an empty room. But yeah. Anyway, what I wanted to look into is, you know, we also have to think about where do we put our producer? So our producer is the firehose API, right? Yeah, okay, he's not gonna come back. That's all right. But I wanted to implement, like, to see maybe the producer has like a callback, and then whenever the callback is executed, we can, from our firehose API, we can just send the latest post that we have in our gen server state, right? So that could work. The default batcher, producer concurrency. Yeah. Testing. All right, let's just start copy pasting this and then see how it works. What is Use API? The Broadway? What do you mean with Use? Hey, Osman! Osman and I used to work together. Yeah. How you doing, Osman? How's the work search going? Did you find something? Okay, and we need to add this. Which version? 1.10. Use the API. Firehose? I think you're thinking about firehose API. This is what we're implementing. The BlueSky firehose. Not use Jose. Maybe I'm saying firehose. That could be. This is what I mean. Firehose API. Broadway. Was that the 1.10 book? Yeah. Unterhose. Keep it in your pants, you Osman. Unterhose means underpants in German. Osman the German. Alrighty. So let me implement the Broadway here. So this is Broadway BlueSky processor. Okay. Lederhosen API. Yeah, not Lederhosen, aren't you? Is there something called Lederhosen? No, Lederhosen, right? Yeah, this is a very German tradition. Well, I'm saying German, but it's South German. You know, I'm not from the South, so this is not my tradition. Now, my tradition is from the Ruhrpott. This is where I'm from. So I'm actually from this area here around Düsseldorf, Dortmund. This is called the Ruhrpott. And this used to be the biggest industrial area in Europe. And we did all the industrial work like steel production, metal production in general, everything that was productive, every production that was here. And we had a lot of coal mines. So that's actually what we are known for, like the old coal mines. For example, Zeche Zollverein. Yeah, here, for example, this is how it looks like. No. Ah, man. I just want to show you this picture. Jesus. So much ad. Okay, they're not. Yeah. Anyway, this is our tradition. Yeah. We had a lot of... Oh, really? Iron mines. Are they still active? Because all of these are inactive now. They closed the last one, I think, in 20, I don't know, 13, 14 or so. Or maybe earlier. But now the mines are closed. Yeah. But I mean, there's still so many broken people walking around who used to work in the mines, and they all got like asthma and the worst, you know, lung diseases. And they barely live longer than 50 or so. Oh, in Brazil, yeah. Well, then you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're from Brazil, right? Or at least you live in Brazil. Like, do you have access to Twitter now, or do you use BlueSky? And if you do use BlueSky, then you should give me a follow. Because I am trying, well, BSKA, I'm trying to move over from Twitter, but nobody's joining, nobody's there, except for the Brazilians. So my profile is peterulrich.com, and I'm here. Alrighty. Where is Carajás, Brazil? Oh, in the mountain area. Oh, I see. You even got the biggest, huge mine. The largest iron ore mine in the world. Look at that. Huh. Up there, okay. The iron ore mine. Jeez, look at the size of these. Yeah. Yeah. BlueSky is pretty cool. I wish everybody would move to BlueSky and then we can just get rid of Twitter. I don't like Twitter anymore, like since a year or two ago, since they changed the algorithm. I still remember like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago even, I was on Twitter already, and I remember that you just saw the likes of other people too. So when they liked something, you would see they would pop up in your feed. And the cool thing about that is that, you know, you just like things more often than you actually tweet about stuff, right? Or that you retweet stuff. And I still remember following like 2 or 3 accounts, and these people were just liking very exclusively, and so they were always liking the best tweets and the best like articles you could read, or best you know, content there was, and that was just like a really cool news feed back in the day. And thanks to the Elon Musk, all of that has gone away now. Oh, you used to work for those, yeah. Did you work in the admin there, or what did you do? Yeah. Actually, I've been to the biggest mine in Utah. This one here, the Bingham Canyon mine. That is really impressive. I think they do copper. Yeah, it's a copper mine. And man, that thing, the size of that, you can just see like there's snow at the top and nothing at the bottom. And here, this is the entry. And it's just amazing. I've been like probably somewhere here or so. Like they have this little mining town, and then like you come to the pit. So you go to the town and then you walk to the pit. And Jesus, just look at the size of this thing. Yeah, and you drive I drove all the way up here, and then you come all the way up there. And then there's like a little station where you can stop as a tourist, because you can just drive up there and go to the viewing point. And then you look down at this massive pit, and then also these mine cars drive past you, and they're like, you know, 3 stories high or something. It's just incredible. And also the efficiency there was pretty impressive. So because what I didn't know is like they only get a couple of grams of copper from every ton of moved earth. So they move a ton of earth, and I'm not sure how many grams, but it was like 10, 20, 30 grams of copper or something. So like for me, it was a surprisingly little amount of copper, and yeah, but it works for them, because the whole size of the whole mine, like you just move thousands and hundreds of thousands of tons of earth every day. It's financially viable. Eventually, you make a profit. But you know that I don't know, taught me a lot about maybe you just need a lot of dumb work and you still get rich, even if you make pennies on every single iteration, so to say. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's go back to Broadway, yeah? Okay, so first thing is we want to have a producer. I'm just going to call this name producer, honestly. And that way becomes super clear. App Broadway producer. Yeah. And then we have a batcher. So let's go through this thing once again. So we can add our Broadway pipeline to our supervision tree like this. I'm not going to do that right now. But so handle message receives every message as a Broadway message struct, and it must return an updated message. So this is in the processor. And that message gets the current processor as an atom, the message, and some context. Yeah. But we want to do the batching first. Depending on scenario, you want to group process messages. Down here we can define the batchers. Okay, so I would say, like, what we can do is we just make this here a really dumb connection. So it literally just decodes the message. Actually, maybe it shouldn't even decode the thing. But probably it's going to be fast enough to decode this stuff. But this is like if I would go for speed, like if I would go for throughput, this might be a bottleneck, right? Because you might not want to decode the message in the client here, because then you can't receive new messages. Because maybe you want to decode that in the processor or in the producer. And then I'm not sure, like somewhere where you can actually filter out messages, you know, so you filter out messages and you realize, well, like, so somewhere in the chain, this is where you actually do the processing part. All right, but let's go. Okay, so we can actually do everything in our one module. That's pretty cool as well. When is that? When is even? So how do I ignore messages? Huh. Is that so? Like, can't you ignore messages in Broadway? Acknowledge a data status failed throw. Huh. Skip. Ah. Really? So apparently we can just return skip from handle message. Oh, and okay, that's gonna return a failed message. And a failed message has a status failed. And I guess that it will be failed messages are sent directly to the related acknowledger at the end of the step, and therefore they are not forwarded to the next step in the pipeline. Great. So that's where we can do this stuff, because I would like to move the parsing, the decoding also. So the whole filtering basically into one of these Broadway things, Broadway steps. So I guess in the processor we could do that, because that way we can actually, you know, in parallel we can process all the information, all the events that are coming in, and ignore those that we don't want to handle. But the downside of that is that we send many more messages into our Broadway pipeline, which maybe we don't want to do. I don't know. What do you think? Where should we just, maybe we just leave it like this for now. And if we see that this is a bottleneck, then we can actually, we can put it somewhere else. Yeah, okay. Let me just set up the basic things here. So in the example, where's the example? There. This is what we wanted. The default batcher. But also, how come? Okay, so let's just do this first. So we have our Broadway here, and we're just gonna call this producer, and this is a default processor, and we have our batcher. Oh, okay. This is. Yeah. So this is like a fetch. And then batch size of 25. This is where we fetch our information, actually. Yeah. And then, so first we need to handle the message. And I think, yeah, this is where we just decode them. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna move this thing over here. And this is basically our process data. And also in the handle message, where was it again? Functions. Callbacks. Handle message. Yeah. So the cool thing about Broadway is also that you can define multiple levels of the processing pipeline. So in the first instance, we want to process our events, and that basically means that we want to do the CBOR thing. You know, we want to decode them, we want to filter them, and then we want to batch them into batch size of 25 to fetch the information from BlueSky, you know, the post like content. And then we want to have another round of processes where we actually do the sentiment analysis based on them, right? So that's why you can actually name these, like the processes you can name here, like this is a decoder, and then you can match against this atom over here. So in this situation, our handle message is only for the decoder processes, and then we can create another handle message later for, you know, for example, analyze. So that's pretty cool. You can have like a multi-level data processing pipeline there. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that first. So okay. And in our process data, so our configure it failed. Yeah, but this is where we want to filter. Okay. Yeah, so what we do here is basically we run process data in a case data, and if we get an OK back, then we do this. And if we get a skip, then we add message failed. And the reason that he gave us is, well, just a reason. Okay. So this is actually where we can filter out the events that we don't want to handle further. Yeah. So in this situation, this will be an okay. And in this situation, we want to do a skip, not a post. Okay. So now we already have our first processor here, where we can do a skip or an okay, update a okay. Okay, cool. All right, so the next thing is we need to implement our the producer concurrency, the batcher. We need to implement the batcher. Handle batch. Yeah. So this is what we do here. Handle batch, and that is for the fetch. And then we get a bunch of messages. And for these messages, well, these are actually, all these messages are just URIs. So we can call app BlueSky get posts. App get posts, and then actually for those. And what do we need to return from batch handle? Handle batch. We need to return a list of messages. Okay. And we had that here. Our response was posts. So we can also do a case here. And then we do an okay body posts. And these are messages. Yeah, and we also want to filter out the non-English ones, but we can do that as the next one. So for now we get the messages and we just return the messages for this one. And if we have an error, what do we do then? Just a return. Oh. It must return updated list of messages. All messages received must be returned, otherwise an error will be logged. Oh, I see. So these are really messages. Now it's going to be... So the URIs are actually messages. And each message has like data probably. Data, okay. So we just fetch the data, and this is how we get the URIs. And then over here, we actually need to put them together. We need to do message, update data. Yeah. And basically, we need to do like, well, we can just iterate over the messages. Map messages, and then in here we receive a message. I'm saying message so much. We are fetching them from the REST API. Yeah, not from the WebSockets gen server. Well. So, let's see. So what we need to do here now is we need to iterate through all the messages, find the post that identifies them, and basically replace the URI with that post. So this one actually, we can find them by the URI. So post, enum find, posts. And then we do a message update data, message post. Yeah. Missing delimiter case. There's a do missing and okay, cool. So this is not super pretty, but what we're doing here basically is we receive messages here and they have the URIs as data. This is what we do in the here in the process data basically. So we just replace the post, we just return the URI, which is this one. And then based on these URIs, we fetch the posts, and we can do that in batches of 25 URIs at once. And then we kind of need to, you know, put them together, like the messages on the post need to go, need to be merged again. So that's why we just do like a, yeah, this is not very efficient. This is an n, not n squared, it's an n squared, big O thing, but we only have like 25 elements each. So yeah, we could also, like we basically, you know, go through all the messages and then go through all the posts and, you know, find the right post per message, so that like we do an n times n iteration here. But for like 25 messages, that is fast enough. You know, if this is not an issue for now, like if that would be an issue, then we could do, we always need to iterate through both of these things, right? But I don't think there's an efficient merge algorithm in that regard. Yeah. Cheap viewers on. Oh, thank you. How do I block this? Ah, there you go. Blocked. All right. So if we receive a reason, we're just gonna, if we receive an error, we're just gonna print out the reason. Not sure whether we can mark a message to retry. That would be something interesting. Batcher. Configure fail, put batch key, put batcher, put data. Yeah. Okay, they don't really have a retry mechanism now, but that's all right. We're just gonna ignore. Well, we're just gonna return the messages. Oh, we can actually. Maybe we can put the batcher, the right batcher again, and that way they will be retried. Here, put batcher. Yeah, so that way we return all the messages and just retry them again. Sorry, yeah, so the process, the process data comes from WebSocket. So basically this one here, we moved this code into our handler, our processor, our Broadway processor, because we want to parallelize this filtering, you know, and also I should actually do the decoding stuff. I should move in there so that this one is really just a very dumb gen server that just receives a message, and we do all the decoding and the filtering in Broadway, because there we can easily parallelize it, and our WebSocket connection is a single point. So we, you know, this one will be blocked if we do all this stuff in here. So actually, I'm just gonna clean this up to make it easier to understand. So basically, this is just this, and all of that we have to move into our process data thing. Yeah, this is a message. So yeah, this is just an event. Yeah, so right now we just ignore the event, but what we could do here in that gen server, we could build up a list, so to say, of events, and we can how would you do this efficiently? So basically in this gen server, I want to keep a buffer of messages of like, I don't know, 1,000 messages, you know, and we're going to keep those in memory. And whenever our Broadway producer comes along and says, hey, can you give me another message, gen server? This one returns one, pops one from the list and just returns it to the producer. And that way we can very efficiently, you know, keep like just receive messages and we just keep them in a buffer. And then from the producer here, we can do also a back pressure, you know, because the producer here is only gonna ask for as many messages as it can handle, and it's never gonna ask for more. And the WebSocket connection just has a buffer, you know, it doesn't care about how many, like a back pressure, it just it has it, it receives it, and whenever it's been asked to get send back a message, it does so, right? That's the idea here. You know what? I'm just gonna outsource this to Claude and say store events in a buffer. Actually, we can do a queue for that probably. That holds maximum 1,000 events. Yeah, no. Enum take 1,000. Is that efficient? This can iterate through the whole thing. Can't we use a queue for that? That would be a very. Let's just use a queue for that. First in, first out. Yeah, this one. Out, yeah. Next. Does any one of you have an idea how we can limit the numbers of a queue? So first of all, maybe you're not aware of what a queue is, but Erlang offers the queue. There you go. It's a standard library. And yeah, basically this is something we could do, right? So whenever we receive an event, we put it in the queue. And whenever our producer comes and says, hey, give me a new event, we pop the earliest, so the first in, first out. So the oldest event we pop out, and when a new event comes in, we, you know, pop it, we put it in the queue. But the problem here is twofold. I mean, okay, I'm not sure how we could implement a like a limited size for that queue. Usually what you do here is use a ring buffer. And actually probably we can just use this library here, because a ring buffer is basically a fixed size queue. So you say, I want to have a queue of 1,000 elements. And, you know, I mean, in your head, you have to think about a circle or like a ring, right? And you start at the beginning, like at one point in the ring, and you put one event in, and then you go along the ring like a clockwork. And when you come to the first event again, you just override it. And then you override the second one and third one. And this way you will always have like a maximum 1,000 elements, but you will always have the latest events in your queue as well. And the oldest one you override once you reach the 1,000 elements. So actually, let's just use the ring buffer library. This one might not be too bad. Ring logger, nurse project. Two stars. Also 2 stars. Yeah, we can just use this one. Oh, we can even implement it in exorcism. But how? They don't give you Ask Community Solutions. Yeah, we can just use this one, I guess. If it works, it works. Are you folks still there? Still listening? If I'm going too fast, or if I'm, just rambling, just let me know. And I can always take a step back and try to, to catch up, to explain some more stuff. If you have any questions here. What about using an in-memory adds table to store the buffer? That you could do that too. The thing here is, again, like the deletion. Actually, we can look that up. I have a handy cheat sheet for big O complexities. So here in adds. So, I mean, this is all like over-engineered. Usually you could just, with 1,000 events, you would have an array, you're fine. Like you pop from the event, from the array, you delete from the array, it's fine. But I'm just thinking, like, how can we make this just better, by just thinking about it for like half an hour or 10 minutes and just do it better. That's why I'm kind of like going through different ideas. So my first idea was to use a queue, and that's actually what also this ring buffer probably uses. So a queue, again, what I said is a queue. So, but in this situation, like the deletion is a big ON. So this is not a terrible performance, especially for 1,000 events. It's probably not a problem. The insertion is super fast, and yeah, the access is also super fast. But the problem here is the deletion, right? Because we would need to, and also the length. So we need to check the length. So we actually need to go through all the events, count the elements, and count the elements, and then when they're more than 1,000, we need to delete them, right? So that's why this, like, we need to do at least 2 times ON in this situation to go through the whole buffer twice. Might not be super efficient. It's okay, again, like 1,000 elements is not gonna be an issue. I just want to because this should also be kind of like a learning experience, right, for you. So I'm just trying to give you different ideas for what we could do in this situation. Adds is one other thing. Here also we have access 01, which is good for like a set, but also here we need to have like a key value. Yeah, what we could do there simply is to have 1,000 elements and then overwrite. You know what, we could just do it with a map, to be honest. So we could just keep a running counter, and whenever the counter reaches 1,000, we jump back to 1, but then we have that issue with FIFO, like we don't know which is the oldest event. So that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm rambling a lot, but like that's what I'm saying. A ring buffer is actually what we want here. Like that's why I'm just looking into this library there. Yeah. So the cool thing about adds is also like the deletion is 01, so that's good as well. But yeah, I would say we just use the ring buffer. This seems to be good enough. All right, hash ring, circular buffer. Oh, that's also interesting. A circular buffer. Oh, from Keithley. All right. Yeah, that is good. That's what we want. Couple of stars, nothing crazy. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then we just have a size. We can define a size, and then it adds an event in a ring, and we can insert, and we can oldest. We can return the oldest element. Look, this is what we're gonna use. 4041. Is that the name? Yeah, circular buffer. Okay, cool. Yeah, and also this doesn't work with the gen server, I think. So it uses the queue module underneath. And yeah, we don't need to start another gen server. I think that's what the other one had, the Elixir ring buffer. Oops. Well, actually, this one uses a NIF. Yeah, so this one is better. Let's use this one. So in our WebSocket, we simply, when we do a start link, in here we can do our buffer. So, and we're just gonna have like buffer size of 1000. And in the args, we can just put our buffer. That's going to be our state here. So that's always going to be our buffer. Boom. Okay. And whenever we receive an event, we just call buffer insert. Circular. I've been running too much JavaScript. Now I'm actually calling the functions on the variables, which is not Elixir style. All right, and this is returning the buffer again. Okay, it's undefined. So let's see whether this works. Okay. Yeah, well, this is our buffer here. Way. A lot of events coming in. Yeah, what you see is now we have our circular buffer. So that way, yeah. Hey, Aaron. Thanks for popping over. Jeez, are you done with your stream? Let me go back to Twitter. Are you still... Nah, you're done. You're done with your stream. Yeah, I left you a message earlier, but I don't think you saw it. You know, I just said that I love your stream, but I like mine better. Just finished. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little rewatch of that probably later. Did you do well with your fly driver thing? Did you get ahead? Yeah, I wanted to write something, you know, less nice, but like people, I can't be not nice to you. You're such a nice person. I can't be not nice to you. Ah, great to hear that. Yeah. Well, I'm actually also making a lot of progress. I'm not sure how many people are watching. Twitter is giving me 350 views, which I don't believe at all. I have another 5, 1 on Twitch and 4 on YouTube. So I'm pretty much by myself a little bit. But I'm just like talking to the camera, you know, making the best of it. We're doing pretty well. We connected to the BlueSky API. We can receive some messages. And, oh, cool. All right, bye, Ruben. Great. Thank you for stopping by. And see you next time. Yeah. But yeah, so we connected to the BlueSky firehose API. We can receive messages, decode them, and fetch their content. And now we're actually setting up our data processing pipeline to fetch the messages in batches of 25 from the BlueSky API, and eventually to analyze them. But we haven't set up the analytics yet. But yeah. That's where we are right now. And my goal for today is just to finish this Broadway processor to see, you know, whether we can actually fetch the content, and then I'm gonna call it a day, because I also need to still go for a run and eat some stuff too. So that's how it is. Yeah. All right. let's continue. I wanna get ahead a little bit. One thing that I'm thinking about currently is how do we actually fetch new messages? So we have our Broadway here, and with Broadway we have our producer. But how does the producer actually do anything, right? Prepare messages. So we can just look through the, is it maybe prepare messages? No. That's a prepare messages. Before handling, if defined. Yeah. Just message. Wait, how we... Does anybody have an idea? How can we fetch new... Oh, is that a module? Yeah, okay. But what does it do? Message. Maybe I should just read this better. Is anybody still there with an idea? Otherwise, I might also close the stream pretty soon. I'm getting tired here. But we've done a lot. We figured out BlueSky. We figured out CBOR decoding. We figured out how to set up Broadway so far. We figured out how to fetch the content of a post. So that's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, the source code is on GitHub. Let me just do a safety commit. Boop, boop, post, push. And it is on GitHub under Peter Ulrich, and then no, it's BlueSky something. There. BlueSky firehose sentiment. Ah, damn it. I can also type it here, I guess. Now what's happening? Jesus. Type. I can't copy. What? Copy. I can't paste in here. Great. Anyway, it's here. Ah, dummy producer. Producer. Ah, okay, here we go. The producer behavior. So gen state producer that emits Broadway message structs. Okay, it's declared here. Okay. You should generally modify messages. Yeah, we need to have a data, we need to have an acknowledger, and some metadata. Prepare for start. Yeah, okay, but which function is called to get a message? Oh, behave as a gen stage producer. All right, here we go. This is what we need to implement. Oh, and it just has the handle demand. That's the function I was looking for. All right. So that way we can now create our producer over here. And this one is gonna use the Broadway producer behavior. Actually, it's gonna be the behavior. And this one requires us to implement something. Once declared, is expected to implement the behave as gen stage producer. Okay, well then we just look at that one. And the producer is here. So it needs to have a start link. Let's copy paste all of that. Is that our behavior? Yeah, interesting. So we don't really want to have any state. Yeah. Is anybody out there? Are people still watching this? Let's have a look at YouTube. All right, there's still somebody watching. Thank you. How do I see how many people are watching here? All right, at least one. 7 watching now. All right, I trust that. Cool. Twitch. One person. Yeah, good enough. So we got 8. And then Twitter, yeah, well, it says 380. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, then I'm going to continue. Like my goal for today is just to implement now the Broadway pipeline until the point where we fetch the posts. So the content of the posts. Yeah, and also we want to filter out non-English ones. That should be a quick one. So let's do that. you want the 380, man. You're worth 380 on Twitter. Like, yeah. All right. Cool. So somebody said handle demand seems to handle a call on a gen server. Yeah, it's just a macro, I guess. The handle demand. So if you go into gen stage, you will see that there is probably a callback. Yeah, for init. All right, and in this case, you need to tell gen stage, am I a producer or a consumer? And the other callback is handle demand in this situation. So you need to no reply, which is funny too, because you actually do reply. So I'm not sure whether this is a no reply, but a no reply, yeah, that's weird. Why would it be a no reply? Well, anyway. Yeah, and this one is a callback, and you have another callback probably for handle subscriber. Yeah, if you want to do something special, format discarded, and so on. So yeah, in this situation is handle demand. We don't want to have any state. We don't need any state. So what is the demand? If the count is 3 and we ask for 2 items, we will emit the items 3 and 4 and set the state to 5. Ah, so this is probably, let's find this one. So the demand is a positive integer, And then there's a state, but we don't really, the counter is from our, here, from the initial thing. We could set it to 0 and then just see if the counter is 3 and we ask for 2 items. This is probably how many events we have. This is just state. Oh. Okay, we can make it a counter. So when demand counter, so when the demand is 0, then we're just gonna do no reply, empty map, empty list, and counter. All right, so in this situation, we want to fetch events from the WebSocket. And yeah, we need to implement that function, and we want to fetch the amount of, like, a demand. So we want to fetch how many events as demanded. Just fetch events. We get events. Yeah. And this is going to be a little helper function. So this is a callback. And this is our public functions. Hello. Yeah, is that a gen server now or not? Oh wow, it's not a gen server. It is using gen call. Wow. How do we fetch information here? Okay, well, we can just do the same, I guess. Interesting. So this is not a proper gen server, which is already interesting in terms of implementation, but it is making a call. It's using gen call, so it's not gen server. Maybe we can even use gen server call. Let's try this one. Yeah, and we just want to make a request for get events, and we want to do the demand. So this, yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna do the return this. And we need to handle that. So we need to do handle call for the get events. And I always forget this. I think this is the demand and this is the buffer. Right? Handle call. Yeah, and then we need to go from circular buffer. Yeah. Yeah, so this doesn't have a like get many. So circular buffer doesn't have a get many function. So you just need to call oldest a couple of times. And then we do a reply with the events. Actually, we can just send back the events, honestly, and buffer. But also, this is going to return the latest buffer. No, this is only going to return the oldest. Interesting. Does it also pop? Like, we need to pop events. New, insert, to list, newest, oldest, empty. No. But how does it? Probably the insert. That's how you override. Connect in a gen server for socket. Handle the messages in the gen server. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to handle the messages in the gen server. I want to handle them in Broadway. That's why I'm setting up Broadway right now. Yeah. So my problem here with Oldest is actually that it doesn't seem to pop the event from the buffer. But I guess that's alright. I mean, it might be overwritten, but we might also get the same event back if we ask for a lot of events very quickly. You know, because here it pops the buffer, but it doesn't actually change anything in the. It pops the oldest event, but it doesn't change the buffer. So yeah. It's alright. It's alright now. We might get multiple events back. Like events multiple times, but whatever. That's okay. Just like I'm gonna make a little note here. Or maybe they have a remove. New insert to list, newest oldest, empty. Okay, they don't have a remove. So yeah, we can't remove it. What's Broadway for in general? I'm new to Elixir. Well, if you're new to Elixir, you should check out runelixir.com. That's something I've written. It's free. It's like a 30-minute introduction to Elixir. So if you want to learn how to write Elixir, this is the best way to get started. But to answer your question, Broadway is a data processing framework. So you can very quickly set up your data processing pipeline. And with that, I mean that you can set up producers, consumers, batchers, and then you can also have multiple layers. You know, so you have one producer that produces messages, then you process these messages, then you batch them into batches, and then you process them again, and then you batch them again if you want to. And it also has connections to RabbitMQ and SQS. So you can easily connect it to SQS or RabbitMQ and then, you know, receive messages that way and handle them. And the cool thing about Broadway is that it makes it really easy to set up concurrent processing layers. So like horizontally, you know, if you have 4 cores on your machine and you want to have 4 cores processing messages, you can easily change like one configuration to 4. Like here, this is basically how you set up your pipeline. So you say, I want to have one producer and then I want to have 2 processors. And that's going to give you, you know, one of these hierarchies here. And then you say, I also want to have batches. So, you know, you have a producer, 2 processors, 2 batchers, and then also like some batches in the end. So you can very quickly set up your data processing pipeline. And that's what I wanted to do in this situation, right? Because I'm getting a lot of messages in and I want to process them quickly. And I also want to batch them as much as possible because eventually I want to have an average sentiment. So I only care about the average sentiment, not that much about the individual sentiments. So that's why I wanted to have this. I wanted to use this because it makes it very easy to just, you know, set up the architecture, the topology. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's see whether this actually works. What I have done here is I have set up my producer. So what the producer does whenever it receives the handle demand function or like a call, it actually gets a bunch of events from the WebSocket connection and returns them. And we can actually, we can log just to see that it's working. No, we're not gonna work. I wanna log. Yeah, I just want to log this to see that it's working. Okay. Now we gotta start our Broadway after we start our WebSocket. And let's see what happens. It breaks. Failed to start child, the processor. No, the producer. Oh, wait, yeah, I need to to name it. Okay, so our producer is terminating because the WebSocket get events is exiting. The process is not alive, and there's no process currently associated with the given name. Possibly because application isn't started. Yeah. Okay, so that means that our call from the producer to WebSocket, to the WebSocket, this call here is not working as expected. So this one here. But I need to head out to the toilet real quick. I'm gonna be back in a second. All right, I'm back. Just gotta eat a little bready here. How are you doing? Somebody still watching? There's still 400 people on Twitter. So I will do it all for these 400. Thanks, man. Yeah, I should really do like a walkthrough thing where I show you everything that I have in the studio. Like I've been working on this thing for, I don't know, 3 years now. You know, slowly steady. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Yeah. I heard there are pretty bad fires in Brazil right now. Is it affecting you too? Because in Portugal it's just, I mean, I'm not in Portugal, I'm in the Netherlands, but it's just terrible in Portugal right now. And I heard the same about Brazil. I was eating plain bread, like a good German. All right. I have no clue what this thing is. All right. Yeah. Yeah, these how you call them? Controlled burn, right? Controlled burns. That also happens in Portugal a lot, and in South Africa. Sometimes they get out of control, then they're less controlled, but until then it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine lives in Sao Paulo. Actually, that's why I heard about that. Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up, eh? One thing that I realized here is the issue that our WebSocket, this thing is not really a gen server, I think. Like, it might be a gen server, but I don't want to, like, fully trust it. So I'm just going to create a real gen server, which I'm going to call buffer. And this one is going to just keep a buffer for us. And again, start link, module. Yeah, this one is not gonna do anything. But then in the init, that's where we will create our buffer. So basically we move this stuff here. And then we return the buffer. There's a do missing. Yeah. And yeah, this one is just gonna also this. So the WebSocket is literally just handling the frame and sending it over here to this function. And it's gonna be a cast as well. So it's gonna insert and it's gonna be the event. Oops. And then no reply buffer. And then we want to have a insert event like this, and that's gonna be a cast to me. And it's gonna do an insert event, cast event. So this way we can, from our WebSocket, whenever an event comes in, we can call our buffer, just insert event and with the event, and that should be it. Yeah. And yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna get to you in a second. That's our WebSocket buffer. Oh. And in the buffer, we also need to have a handler call for get events, because this one is gonna actually return the buffer, the events from the buffer. Yeah. And then in our producer, we need to call the buffer instead. All right. Will Townsend, cool name. I was always called Peter Townsend back in the day, I think because that's the guitar player. If I'm not mistaken, Peter Townsend. Okay, that's something else. Yeah, no, military. Anyway, I don't know. Pete Townsend. Yeah, this guy. That's I don't know. My friends call me that. I'm not a guitar player, I'm a drummer. But I don't know. People are, especially teenagers, are dumb. Would Broadway be a good way to receive any and process web hooks from third-party services like Stripe events? Yeah, but only if you really have a lot of these events. Yeah, only then. I mean, for Stripe events, for example, I simply just use a single, like a controller. Actually, if you look at the Elixir library for Stripe, Stripe, this one here, that is the official, not official, but this is the library everybody uses to connect to Stripe. And in here, you also have a example of overview, the handler examples. Somewhere they have a handler here, webhook handler. So the webhook handler, this is something you can easily throw into your endpoint. So basically, Oh man, I thought they had an example somewhere. API reference modules. Well, right. So this is the main README, and in here, testing. Oh, did they throw that out? Somewhere they had documentations for like literally example code where you could just take the handler and copy paste it into your handle event. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ah, here in the plug. This, yeah, I always forget this one. So this one you can just copy paste into your endpoint, like you see here. You just copy paste this stuff. Although this is a little tricky to put the environment variable here, but you know that's another issue. Yeah, this one is here. So you have the stripe handler, and in here you just have handle events, and then you can match against the type of events, and you return 200 or an OK actually to acknowledge that event, so to say. And if you just return anything else, or if you fail, then Stripe will retry again. So this way you can handle Stripe events. You don't need anything fancy like Broadway unless you really have like hundreds of thousands of events. But even then, like, you can have a server, multiple servers handling these events. You don't need Broadway. Broadway is more for data processing. So it's not that much for like handling these events. It's more for data processing, like in our case where we have a lot of events coming in, and you just want to handle them in parallel in concurrency. Sorry, long answer to a rather short question. So would you prefer to use a job queue system like Oben? I work on a system right now that is spread over various AWS services, and it's a nightmare to work on locally. Okay. Elixir seems almost too good to be true, and it reduces the service area of system into one app. That is 100% why people love Elixir, because what you're seeing here, like the Broadway stuff, I can do it with Elixir, right? It's not that much code as you've seen. And it's a whole data processing pipeline. Like other people, they would use Kafka and Spark, to do that kind of stuff. And then I think Snowflake and DBT, and there's so many like huge, large scale systems out there that you can use to do data processing. And in Elixir, I mean, it's not as complex as DBT, for example, but it is damn powerful. So, you can just simply write your thing there. So in your situation, you have a system with various AWS services. Yeah, so in your situation, it depends, right, on your requirements. I mean, if you have something running like Kafka or Spark, Kafka is a message queue. I mean Spark. Like Spark, yeah, they can handle like millions of events, right? And you have a cluster and you can scale it and all. But if you don't have that requirement, if you think you can host it with like 1 or 2 servers, then yeah, definitely give Elixir and Broadway a try. And it depends, like Oben, you would only use for, I would not use it because you insert like an Oben job one by one into the database, right? So if you have 100,000 events coming in, you don't want to create 100,000 records in the database. So you would rather do them in memory, like with Broadway. And also here on Broadway, you have a lot of control over like acknowledging a message, retrying a message, failing it, ignoring it, these kind of things. Oben is better if you don't have that many events, but you want to have the guarantee that it will be processed successfully. So if you don't have that many events, but they are all really important, you can use Oben. But if you have a lot of events, and if you miss 1 or 2 events, it might not be the end of the world. Broadway is better. I mean, again, there every single message is also tracked. But if your system explodes because you didn't handle a case and you have an exception, then with Oben the job would still be unfinished in the database, whereas with Broadway it would just be gone, right? So yeah, that's what I would. But I mean, if you want, you can also share a little bit about your use case, and maybe I can tell you more about it. Yeah. And cool. Yeah, you're a drummer as well. Yeah, I've been playing jazz mostly, and also rock. Yeah. Do you play actively in a band still? Because I've given up like a couple of years ago, but I would like to start again. Yeah. All right, folks. Let's bring this to the home stretch. I think we are in a good position now to just run this and pray to God. Oh, here we go. Okay. Producer. Well, we need to start the producer, but why doesn't... Okay, so I guess we need to start the producer manually. All right. Oh yeah, we also need to start the buffer. Oh yeah, dumb me. The producer is started by Broadway, but not the buffer. Now we go. Again, buffer is not started. Why? Did it break? Let's start again and quickly stop. Oh, okay, once again. So what is the first message? Yeah, no problem. Process is not alive. Why is it not alive? Starting it here. Maybe I start the buffer. I need to start the buffer before the WebSocket. No, that didn't fix it. Name. Boop. Yeah, because this returns a PID, a PID. It only small gigs with friends. Yeah, well. Me too. That's how it is, right? Okay, we got one step further. Our producer, well, yeah, so our producer, I thought about that already in the buffer here, our step mechanism. And so it asks for 10, but it says range is first last, expect both sides to be integers and the step to be non-zero integer. Got 1 and a PID. Why? Demand is a PID? What? That's weird. What do we send from the producer? Handle demand? Well, why is it at the PID? What? What is this? I thought demand would just be a number. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah, it's a number. All right. And we send demand here. Yeah. Of course, that's a timeout. There you go. That should work better. Yeah, I had like because the cast and the call, as they take the request as a second argument. So that's why we need to send like a tuple here. And also here we need to handle this as a tuple. There we go. That should work better. Okay. And if you do a call, you get a from as a second argument. Like the from is the PID. All right. The produce message is invalid. All messages must be Broadway message structs, of course, because in this case we only get the events, but we need to convert them to actual Broadway messages. So event, and then we're gonna also alias a Broadway message. Boop. Message, and I think we can just do this. Message data event. Is that how it's supposed to be? Acknowledger is also. What is the acknowledger? Acknowledger is a required acknowledger. The acknowledger of the message. A tuple contains a module implementing the Broadway acknowledgement behavior, an ACK reference that is passed to the callback, an arbitrary term that is passed to the optional configure callback. Yeah, we don't need an acknowledger. An ACK reference that is passed to the ACK callback. Well, we can just, I don't know, we can just do acknowledger and ACK reference is just a term. We can just put the counter here. No, that doesn't make sense. What is this? Oh yeah, and then we need to return the messages. All right, so in this situation, we iterate through the events, which are just the binary strings. And then for every event, we create a Broadway message, which has a data, like a data thing, and a acknowledger. Yeah, and the acknowledger apparently is a callback function or a module that can actually acknowledge the message to whatever you're fetching it from. For example, if you work with SQS or Rabbit, you need RabbitMQ, you need to acknowledge the message, right? Once you processed it, and only then you send back the ACK, the ACK, and that way Rabbit will also remove it from their queue. Otherwise, they will retry again in the future. So in our situation, we don't need to have any acknowledger because we just fetch it from the firehose API and that's it. All right, we're getting closer now. No function call matching the acknowledger. So we really need to implement. Man, yeah, what is this? ACK references passed to the ACK callback. ACK reference, just a term. Yeah, okay, so what we can do here. I have some, like I use OMyZShow, and I have some shortcuts. So if you go to my zshell RC, I have the plugins, and one of them is Elixir, and that gives me a couple of like MPS is, for example, Mix Phoenix Server, MPS. IPS is IEX, Mix Phoenix Server, so that starts the interactive shell. Like it starts the server, but inside an interactive shell so that I can still execute code. I also have MEM, like Mix Ecto Migrate. Oh, and I also Mix Ecto Setup. So yeah, that just makes it very easy to, you know, start the server in a interactive mode, migrate the database, set up the database. Also get the dependencies. This one is mix, deps get, that kind of stuff. Yo, all right. Yep. So one thing we still need to figure out here is how to do the acknowledger thing. I'm just gonna maybe do an anonymous function here. Data ACK module. What is this? Term that uniquely. So I'm just gonna generate a unique reference here, which I think, what was it here? So I'm gonna create a unique reference per message. Oh, I haven't written that yet. I wanted to write a section about references. Here, actually, I have it here. Ref, make ref. You can use make ref if you want to have a unique identifier across the current node. So that's very useful for requests. You know, if you want to track a request going through the whole stack, you just call make ref, and that returns you just a reference. It's a very simple thing, and hopefully that will do the trick here. No, it does not. No function clause matching an anonymous function in Broadway acknowledger group by acknowledger. Okay, so, and what it does, it has a function with a message, batch default, batch key, batch mode bulk, status failed, not opposed. Okay, that's why we need to have the acknowledger, because we have a lot of failed messages. Yeah, I don't know what we should put here. Jesus Christ. It's a term that uniquely identifies how messages should be grouped and sent for acknowledgement. Imagine you have a scenario where messages are coming from different producers. Broadway will use the information to correctly identify the acknowledger and pass it along with the messages so you can properly communicate with the source of the data for acknowledgement. Ackref is part of the acknowledger. Well, yeah, great, but I don't care. What should I put here? I have an ignore. I don't know, 1, 2, 3. Does that do something? No. So let's look into the acknowledger, group by acknowledger. Acknowledger. We could do a no-op acknowledger. Look at that. Let's do that because we don't care. There you go. If you read the docs. All right, so now something seems to be working because, okay. That's all right. Update data. Handle message. What's happening here? No function clause matching. Update data in our Broadway. Well, this is just the string. Why does it not? It should be a function with the old data and the new data. Good to know. Do we have it in more one place? Yeah, okay. We are getting closer. Well, we get a 400 response, and the 400 response said invalid request. URIs must be valid at URI. What is the problem here? I thought we would send the proper URIs. Post. Is it maybe a problem with our encoder for the parameters? That could be very well. Yeah, because I mean, this is a list of proper URIs, I would say. But they're all the same. Why? Huh. Jesus. Well, these are different, but they are... Oh. Interesting. Well, what I'm gonna do here for now is just a unique. Let's see. And probably also we need to fix our implementation there with BlueSky. We're sending multiples. Yeah. But we were getting some messages back. All right, that looks good. But we also had some errors there somewhere. Here. 400 must be valid URI. Yeah, if it's only one. Okay. Yeah, so we get a lot of these messages back. I think it might be related to sending either one or multiple. We can actually, can we see the request here? Yeah, I would like to fix our situation here because I don't think this is a very good way of building our UI. Does anybody have an idea how we could implement this? I'm just gonna ask. Jesus, Claude. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Nope. Values cannot be lists. Yeah, fun. Nah. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, folks, I think I will just call it a day here. We got pretty far. We are just struggling a little bit with the encoding, I guess, of lists. Yeah. I don't know. I would like to fix this before I'm leaving, though. Somehow, this needs to be a quick fix, no? Let's just search for this. Here. Boom. We can use plug-on query for the encoding. Very good. Thank you, Greg. Now let's see. All right, that looks better. We got no more errors. We still fetch a lot of the same IDs here, but the problem here might actually be that we keep them in the buffer. So our buffer, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we receive different events, but actually, so what? Sorry, oh Jesus. What I'm also seeing here actually that we receive. Let me just stop this, then we can see it better. So we receive different IDs. Yeah, we have the same IDs multiple times. Look at this. So that is not very efficient. Ideally, we would just, yeah, we would filter those out. But it also, no, we should filter those out. Yeah, that might be a problem with our ring buffer because we're not returning. Look at that. Yeah, of course. So, I mean, if we call the buffer oldest like 5 times and it always returns the oldest event, well, then of course it's not it's 5 times the oldest event, right? So our circular buffer here doesn't work, unfortunately, because I already said that before. The oldest doesn't actually pop the queue, so that is not great. Yeah. But what could we do there? Let me just do this array, Elixir, ring buffer. Is that something we can use? Empty oldest, put take. Look, this is what we want. We actually want this one because it returns like the buffer without the event, basically. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's use this one instead. Sorry, circular buffer. Okay, and this is new. So we actually do the same here. We create a new one and then we use put to insert. And we do a take for also the, yeah. But in this case, it only returns, well, it returns the buffer or nil. Yeah. Yeah, Broadway is amazing. That's why I wanted to really get my hands on it. Yeah, but I never had a use case for it, so that was the issue, right? All right, so in this situation now, we have a ring buffer and we want to do take, but take doesn't allow us to give a number of how many elements we want, but it is gonna return the element and then the ring buffer without that element in it. So that's what we need to do. And we need to reduce basically. So we're gonna do a reduce while over the basically how many times, you know, we want to have an event, and we're gonna start with the buffer, and then we're gonna receive like the index and the buffer. And now we need to fetch from the ring buffer take. And now the thing is, like, this thing might be nil, and in that situation we wanna wait, we also need to do like the events. Yeah, so you know, it might happen that we that the buffer is empty. Sorry, I'm just writing and talking at the same time. So it might happen that the buffer is empty, right? In this situation, we want to halt, and we want to return the events and the buffer, right? And otherwise, like if the buffer is not yet empty, we will receive the element and the buffer. And in that situation, we want to continue, and we want to put the well, I'm just gonna call it event and events and the buffer. So like this. So this way, yeah, we iterate over the buffer and it actually pops an element from the buffer. But yeah, if it's empty, then we stop early. And then, yeah, hopefully that's not gonna have a problem with our demand. Like if they demand for 5 events, but we only return 4, I hope that's not an issue with Broadway. But we will see. So that way, actually, we now in this situation, we don't return the same IDs over and over again, because this ring buffer implementation actually removes the event from our buffer. Yeah. Alrighty, let's run this again. Okay, nothing is happening. That is not terrible. Why is nothing happening? Well, let's maybe print out in Broadway the URIs that we're requesting. But we already do that. We don't need this unique anymore. Oh, we should still keep it. Yeah. Let's also just print out the events to make sure that, or maybe the buffer and the events. All right, so yeah, empty. I think I made a mistake with the put here. Or maybe we're not getting any events in? No, we're getting events in. All right. So why is our buffer not updated? Well, our buffer is updated. And also evicted. Okay. And now, for whatever reason, it runs empty. Yes, that's an issue. Demand. All right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we remove this, like we move this to just one each. Let's see, maybe that works better. Well, so what happened here? I mean, our ring buffer runs empty. Let's maybe up this to 10,000. But it's weird because like our ring buffer runs empty and then it's never asked again. Is that maybe a Broadway thing? Yeah, I gotta read up on that. Get events. Get events. Well, that worked better already. So what I wanted to do here is give it a timer sleep. You know, I added a timer sleep to the producer because my thought was here that the buffer is empty. So I mean, it's empty at the beginning when it starts, but right after startup, the producer is already asking for events, and then it doesn't return any events. It's empty. So that way, actually, you know, that way, Broadway thinks, oh, the buffer is empty, so I'm gonna stop pulling. I'm gonna stop demanding events, and I think that was the issue here. So when I actually added a timer, there were a bunch of events sent and also handled, but yeah. Size, yeah. I still need to figure out what happens if the producer runs empty. Like what Broadway, what does it do? Like, does it wait? And if it does wait, how long does it wait, you know? Empty metadata, yeah. All right, folks, but rate limiting. Oh, we can rate limit. Producer, process, batches, petition by spawn, hibernate. Hang on, we can rate limit our producer. I want to do that and see whether that works. Max restarts, shutdown, name. Producer options, here we go. Hibernate after? No. Rate limiting. A list of options to enable and configure rate limiting for producing. If this option is present, rate limiting is enabled. Otherwise, it isn't. Rate limiting refers to the rate at which producers will forward messages to the rest of the pipeline. The rate limiting is applied to and shared by all producers within the same time limit. The following options are supported. Allowed messages required. An integer that describes how many messages are allowed in a specific interval. And then the interval. All right, let's do that. One last option here. So in the start link, and wait, that needs, where does this need to go? In the start link. You can do this by one set of options. Interesting. Okay, allowed messages. Let's just do 10 and then interval per second. Ah, no, interval required an integer that describes the interval in milliseconds. Okay, interval in milliseconds. Like this. Let's see what happens here. And we also want to give hibernate after. Does it have like a warm-up concurrency? No. Well, I'm just gonna do it in a dumb way and give like a sleep, like 2 seconds. That should give us enough time to start the buffer and to fill up the buffer. Yeah, there you go. No, that seems better. Ah, it's empty again. Yeah. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad. We already fetched a couple of events. We already fetched the messages here. I just need to find out why our producer is stopping. Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. I'm gonna push all of that to GitHub now. If you want to continue with that without me. Push. And yeah, maybe I do another stream tomorrow. Otherwise, I don't know, Saturday or so. I'm not sure. Like tomorrow I have an interview as well on a podcast. And with my good friend Herman Valesco, he's having a new podcast and it's gonna be Elixir with Friends, I think. So he just does a chit-chat, you know, thing where he chit-chats with people from the Elixir community. I'm gonna be on the very first episode, so you know, stay tuned for that one. Otherwise, yeah, I'm certainly gonna continue this project because now I just, you know, want to find out why the heck this is this is not working. Yeah, we will continue with this, right? I mean, we had Broadway almost set up. It is set up, you know, it's just running dry and then it's stopping. We have to figure out why. But yeah, it's pretty cool already. I think we already fetched a couple of posts. At least I saw some URIs coming along. So the next step would be to filter out those, like the non-English ones, and then we can get into Bumblebee, and yeah, just use Bumblebee with the model, the Bert model that I showed you, to do some sentiment analysis. And with the amount of messages we're getting here, I don't think this will be a big issue because you've seen, like, yeah, there are a lot of messages, but actually the pulling, like how many messages go through the system, is not that crazy. So I think we can actually do the sentiment analysis pretty quickly. And the other thing is just like handling the result of everything and storing it in TimescaleDB, which is the last step. Yeah. German, not Ramon. German, well, not German. I'm saying with a Dutch accent. It's Hermann. So German. He's written German, but because he's against Mexican, it's Hermann. Yeah. Alrighty, folks. That has been a pleasure. I hope you learned something. I hope you had some fun. I hope it didn't bore you too much. Yeah. Let me know what you think. Let me know whether you think this is valuable to continue. Maybe you think, oh, this is not nothing that I would watch, and I also can use my time a different way. But I guess thank you very much. It was a nice stream. Yeah, well, in that situation, I will just continue, right? Yeah, otherwise, you can always follow me on Twitter or BlueSky. In the bottom, you should see all my socials and everything. I can also highly recommend Run Elixir to learn more about Elixir. If you want to buy one of my video courses, they're all hosted on my own video course platform, indiecourses.com. And otherwise, I don't know. See you tomorrow. See you Saturday, maybe Sunday. Who knows? I will keep you updated on the socials. So just follow me there, and you will see me when I go live again. Thanks for being part of this. Much appreciated. I wish you all a great day, and I'll see you very soon.